Apple Charger and Gum. Welcome back to Sound the Siren. I'm Xavier.
I'm Dylan. Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to predict our NBA playoffs. I've got a bracket here. Xavier does too. We're going to go through round by round. The matchups, obviously, they look to be good. There's only one sweep that I've predicted throughout the whole playoffs. Anything else to say, Xav?
I've only got one sweep as well, or two sweeps for me actually.
Two sweeps. All right. So, how do you want to do this? I think we should start with the first matchup in the East, the 1 versus 8. It's the Bucks versus the Magic, and I have the Bucks in 4. However, I do think the Magic could bring it up to them in one game maybe, but I think it should be an easy sweep. Giannis hopefully back to his best, and Middleton as well, who's been extremely good in the bubble so far.
Yeah, this is one of my sweeps as well. There's not really much to talk about. The Bucks have been the best team all regular season, so they should get it done in the early rounds of the playoffs.
The Heat versus the Pacers, one that I've been waiting for. TJ Warren and Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler did pay some respect to him by saying he's been playing well, but there's no love lost. They still have a great rivalry, and I've tipped Miami in either 5 or 6, but I'm going to say 5. Might be a bit biased, so from your neutral perspective, Zave, we'll have to have a listen to you.
I've got the Heat in 6. I think they're obviously the better team, but I really like the Pacers. I think they've got some really good players across the whole board, from Oladipo, Brogdon, as well as Miles Turner. I'm not sure if Sabonis will be fit. I'm not sure about his injury, but if he can get back as well, that'd be great for the Pacers. I think the Heat can get it done, but I think it'll be a longer series.
I think Sabonis is out for the season, but if he was there, I'd have to say maybe the Pacers. They'd be a deadly team. They're already playing well. TJ Warren made the all bubble first team, so congratulations to him. I think Phoenix are probably thinking, what have we done? They swapped him for cash consideration, so not the greatest decision there. Anyways, should be a great battle. The Raptors versus the Nets. I have the Raptors in 5. I just think the Nets should be able to upset in one game. Obviously, Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot has been a great revelation for them in this bubble, and Karis LeVert, who we predicted as well to play well, and he's been putting some good games together.
Yeah, I've got the Raptors in 4. This was my other sweep. As you said, obviously, Karis LeVert's been playing very well in the bubble and the bubble team. But I think the Raptors, they're such a deep team. They've got stars, Lowry, Siakam, obviously Van Vliet, and Ibaka, Gasol. My favorite, OG, is a gun. I think they'll sweep the Nets.
And OG's got a new vlog series on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
I just saw that, and I'm going to have to go watch that. I reckon he's one of the funniest players in the league. I saw him in the video with Serge Ibaka, and I think they're both really funny. So hopefully he can make some noise in the playoffs. The Sixers, Celtics, Dylan?
Yeah, I have the Celtics in 5. You know how I feel about the 76ers. Sometimes their form is a bit elusive and they just struggle to put games together, but you know their chemistry in the last few games against the Rockets was really good. Embiid, hopefully by himself, will play better. Obviously, Simmons and Embiid have struggled to find their teamwork a little bit, but yeah, the Celtics, they've got some great depth on that team. Brad Wanamaker is 30 years old, is an outstanding bench player for them, in my opinion. And then obviously Enes Kanter, players like Daniel Tice get the job done.
I think this is the series of the first round for me. I think this one could get really close. I've got the Celtics in 6 or 7, but only because the Sixers are missing Ben Simmons. I think Simmons was playing. I think maybe their size is too big for them, and maybe the 76ers could get across the line in probably a 7-game series. But their size is still there. So I think I'm probably 6, maybe 7 games for the Celtics.
Okay. Now to the West, we have the Lakers versus the Blazers. This morning we saw the Blazers take down Ja Morant and the Grizzlies, who were always going to struggle without Jaren Jackson Jr. Just a difficult task for them. And I think they'll come back strong next year, maybe for the 6th, 7th seed. But, geez, they have a bright future. And the Blazers, I think they'll take a game off the Lakers. But as I said in the previous episode, I think the Lakers should get past them easily in the first round. Should be a good game though, or good games. Sorry. Yeah.
I've got the Lakers in 6, but it wouldn't really surprise me if it went to 7. I think this one's probably the worst case scenario for the Lakers, the worst possible opponent they could verse in the first round. Avery Bradley and Rondo, I think they'll be missed a lot in the first round. Obviously, CJ and Dame are such good guards that can score at will, and Rondo and Avery Bradley are probably the 2 best on-ball defenders for the Lakers. And I think if Dame and CJ get hot, they can definitely take 1, 2, maybe even 3 games. But I've got the Lakers winning in 6.
And I feel like Dwight Howard could make a presence as well in the playoffs. I just think he needs to be more assertive when he's on the floor. He tends to just obviously follow LeBron's lead and AD, so they've got some great depth. But as you said, they're going to struggle to guard Dame and CJ. So it should be a good series for the first round, and the Lakers will have a tough run to the finals for sure. It's not easy for them this playoffs. The Thunder versus the Rockets. I have the Rockets in 6, even without Russell Westbrook. They should get the job done. However, the rivalry, or if there's a rivalry between CP3 and James Harden, it should be a good matchup.
Just quickly on on Dwight Howard, I think I wouldn't mind seeing him get a few more post touches throughout the playoffs, because I think the Lakers' offense has been a bit stagnant. Obviously, their pick and roll with LeBron and whichever one of the bigs you want to put in there is very good, and that can score. That's probably their best play. But outside of that, they haven't really looked that good on offense. But I think Dwight could sort of mix it up and add another element to their offense. So I'd like to see that. I've got the Rockets in 5 though. I think the Thunder, they're obviously good, and they have some players that I really like on that team. But the Rockets, they've looked good in the bubble. Different times throughout the bubble, they've looked really good. Other times, they've looked really bad. But I think they can get it done in 5.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the small ball works out. However, if they do get past the Thunder, they should match up against the Lakers, which we'll get to in a bit. And I think that could be a great matchup. As you've seen, they've beaten the Lakers twice this year. The Mavericks versus the Clippers, and I have the Clippers in 7 games. I think the Mavericks, they've got some great depth, and then they've got some standout players like Dorian Finney-Smith, who's been great for them in the bubble so far. Obviously, Kristaps made the All-NBA second team, and Luka the All-NBA first team for the bubble, I should say. So I think it could go to 7.
I've got the Clippers in 6. As you said, Luka and Kristaps are obviously a great duo, and their offense has been historically good throughout the regular season. So I think if they can catch a bit of fire, they can take a few games from the Clippers. But I've still got the Clippers. I think they're just such a deep team and such a good team that I think, 8. If they matched up against the Lakers, I think 8 or 10 of the 7 or 8 of the best players in the top 10 would all be Clippers players. So their team's really deep, really, really good stars all around. So I think the Clippers in 6.
The Jazz versus the Nuggets. What I thought has been the best game in the bubble so far. It went to double overtime, and Donovan Mitchell wouldn't stop hitting shots. However, in saying that, the Nuggets, I've said it for multiple teams, but they've added Bol to the lineup. Their mix is great. Jamal Murray's back. So I have the Nuggets in 6 games, but I think every game will be within 0 to 10 points.
I reckon, along with the Celtics 76ers matchup, this one's probably one of the best series of the playoffs. I've got the Nuggets in 7. I think obviously the Jazz are really good, but they're missing Bogdanovic still, and I think that will hurt them. But the Nuggets have looked really good in the bubble. Obviously, adding Michael Porter Jr. and Bol getting more minutes than they had been in the regular season, and Jokic, Jamal Murray, obviously both very good. So I've got Nuggets in 7.
Yeah, shout out to Michael Porter Jr. making the All-NBA bubble second team. He's been extraordinary for them, and I think a few teams are regretting their decision to pass up on him in the draft. He's had some 30-point games, and then his consistency throughout the 8 games, the seeding games. As you said, I think it should be a great matchup, and the Nuggets will pass, and we'll go back to
Michael Porter Jr. has some superstar potential. I think he's probably one of the most important players for the Nuggets. If he can become their second best player, then even beat Jamal Murray. I think the Nuggets will make a run in the playoffs, and I think in the future they got a very bright future. So we'll see what happens with them.
Now, Xav, would you like to go back to the East or should we stick with the West?
We can stick with the West if you want.
Okay, so Rockets versus Lakers we'll go to, and this will be a test for their small ball lineup. Covington's been good, PJ Tucker's been good. However, I've got the Lakers in 6. I think AD will be too strong, and LeBron will continue his ways, turning into playoff prime LeBron, and it should be a great matchup.
Yeah, I've got the Lakers in 6 as well. I think obviously it's going to be a test again for the same reason that Dame and CJ was, with Westbrook and Harden being two of the best guards in the league, and obviously the Lakers missing their guards. I'm not sure if Rondo might be back towards the end of this series. Maybe not until the Western Conference Finals, but I've got the Lakers in 6 as well. I think their size with Dwight, JaVale, and AD down low will be too much for the Rockets.
Yeah, he'll definitely be detrimental for that lineup. The Clippers versus the Nuggets. I have the Clippers in 5, but I wouldn't be surprised if it went to 6. The Nuggets should be a surprising team, maybe a bit of a dark horse, as with maybe another East team, which we'll get to in a bit.
So this is the first series that we have with different teams, but I've got the Clippers winning in 6 as well, but over the Jazz, not the Nuggets. Over the Nuggets, not the Jazz.
We'll move to the East, and we have the Bucks versus Miami Heat, and I have put the Bucks down to win in 6 games. I wouldn't be surprised if we took a game or 2. However, it could be 5 games, but yeah, I think we could challenge them.
Yeah, I think our bracket's looking very similar. I've got the Bucks in 6 as well. I really like the Heat. They got some players that I like. Obviously, Jimmy Butler leading that team is very good for them, but I think the Bucks will prove to be too much and win in 6.
The Raptors versus the Celtics. Now, the Celtics did lead the season series 3-1, and that is why I have them in 6. The Raptors, their depth with Siakam, Van Vliet, who's been great for them, OG. You stated these players before, and I stated the Celtics. Should be a good clash, or clashes. I keep forgetting there's more games, but I do have the Celtics progressing to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I reckon this will be a ripping series. Celtics and Raptors both been very good teams in the East for the last few years. But I got the Celtics in 7. Obviously, I like the Raptors, but I think the Celtics with Jaylen Brown, Kemba, as well as Tatum and Hayward, each one of them could get you 20 on any given night. So I think the Raptors will find it difficult to lock down all of them.
Yeah, Tatum's consistency is essential for the Celtics if they do want to make to the conference finals, because with his haircut, you saw he shot 2 for 18, I believe. And then next game, he dropped 30 odds. So Jaylen Brown needs to pull some form, which he has been doing. And
if Tatum can confirm himself as a top 15 to top 10 player in the league, I think they can get through this series and maybe make some noise in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yep, 100%. So we'll stick with the East. We'll go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and it is the Bucks versus the Celtics. And geez, I wasn't sure what to do here, but I put down the Bucks in 7. It could be a bit controversial, but I do believe Giannis can pull through. But I think on Giannis, if you give him a full court, he's unstoppable. But a half court, you can definitely cut down, his possessions, his points, because he doesn't have the drive all the way from the other side of the court.
Yeah, definitely. You're definitely right there. Same as similar to Ben Simmons. Obviously, they don't quite have the shot creating ability of some of the better players or some of the other players in the league. I think you saw it with the Raptors last year. They tried to pick him up full court with obviously Kawhi, and then funnel him to the bigs in Ibaka and Gasol under the rim. I'm not sure that my team, who I had making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, can do that. So I've got the Bucks in 5 against the Celtics, because I don't think they've got the bigs to go with them. I think obviously their size isn't quite there compared to some of the other teams. I think the Heat are actually a better matchup for the Bucks than the Celtics are, and probably have a better chance of beating them. But I've got the Bucks in 5.
I think Brook Lopez is severely underrated. He's intent to damage teams has worked. He dropped 30 twice, I believe, in the seeding games. So he's definitely his versatility to be able to pop the three and then jump back in the paint. But his problem has been his rebounds over the years. He can change that though.
His defending has been very good this year as well. So obviously an elite defender and elite 3-point shooter, as well as we know he's got the post moves from earlier on in his season, in his career. So I think he can prove to be a big piece for the Bucks in the playoffs this year.
Now, the matchup that I personally have been waiting for all year, the Lakers versus the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. And I have to say, I think all of these games will be within 5 to 7 points. And I have the Lakers in 7.
I've got the Lakers in 7 as well. I think this is the biggest test for the Lakers. I think the Clippers are a way better team as far as a team goes. Although I think the Lakers have the edge on the chemistry. But as I said before, the Clippers just have so many good players. Like even deep on their bench from like Reggie Jackson, the Landry Shamet, and obviously Montrez and Lou Williams off the bench. Their starting 5 is really good. They've added Joakim Noah. They got so much depth and so many pieces, but if the Lakers win, it's because of one reason, and that's LeBron. So hopefully he can get them across the line and get the Lakers across in 7.
Yeah, the Clippers organization will have to keep a close eye on Lou Williams. Hopefully he stays in the bubble this time. Now the finals. Sorry.
Just quickly, I think it's the chemistry for the Clippers. I think it's got to be low. Like obviously Montrez has missed all of the seeding games. Lou Williams missed some. Kawhi misses every second game. Paul George has missed a lot of games this year. And they've only added pieces like Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson at the trade deadline. So I don't think their whole squad has played together, maybe not once for the whole season. So it'll be interesting, but I've got the Lakers in 7.
Yeah, great call. Lakers versus Bucks. A lot of people have predicted this, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics did upset the Bucks, if the Raptors did upset the Celtics around before, and if the Clippers did upset the Lakers. So there's many different variations that could occur in this 2020 finals. It's been an odd season, and it can continue to be odd. But I do have the Lakers winning in 6 games, and maybe even 7. LeBron versus Giannis, a great matchup. 2 MVPs going against each other. Yeah, not much else really to say, Xav.
Yeah, I think coming out of the East, the only teams I can really see are the Bucks, obviously, as I've got them, and the 76ers if they're fit and Ben Simmons is playing and they somehow manage to get all their pieces right. But obviously I've got the Bucks coming out of the East and the Lakers coming out of the West, and I've got the Lakers in 6. I said in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Celtics are obviously very good, but I don't see them having the bigs that they can funnel Giannis too. But I think the Lakers do have that. Obviously, their size down low in AD, JaVale, and Dwight, as I said before, is really good. And I think they can stop Giannis at the rim. And it's going to be up to Chris Middleton, Eric Bledsoe, and obviously Brook Lopez to win this series for them. And I'm not sure that they've got it in them. But I think this is probably Giannis's moment. And if he can win this, if he beats LeBron in the finals, I think Giannis is the best player in the league. And I think if Giannis even beats Kawhi, he's the best player in the league. So it's his moment to be the next big thing. And it's LeBron's moment to stay as the big thing.
And I think it's crucial for the Bucks because if they don't win, then Giannis may consider his options, maybe even leaving to teams that have put their hand up for him. Obviously the Warriors and then Miami Heat have had a go at him. I doubt that. But also, I just want to say the Lakers' main concern, I think, is the shooting guards. J.R. Smith, Dion Waiters, Danny Green, they haven't been able to put many good games together so far in the bubble. And whether that's just they're a bit rusty because Waiters and JR weren't signed. But if they can get going, then they can be a serious threat and push that Lakers team forward.
Yeah, I still trust Danny Green. He's a veteran. He's been in the league for a long time. He's won championships before. I think he can get it together. Obviously, Rondo will be back by the finals. So I think that helps their guard depth. And then they only need one of JR or Dion Waiters to play a good game. So it depends. I think they are important, but perhaps not as important as some of the other players on their team.
Drifting away from the Lakers quickly, I just want to say one of the main stories for me has been the resurrection of Carmelo's career. We saw him hit a clutch three this morning, and I'd just like to give a huge shout out to him because he's always been one of my personal favourite players, and I'm glad he's getting a game and he's putting many good games together. His form's been extremely handy for the Blazers. CJ McCollum finally coming back to his usual self, and then the bubble MVP Damian Lillard. So
yeah, Melo's been massive in the bubble, and I really liked what Dame was said about him after he hit one of his clutch threes, and he was like, "That's what we expect from him because he's a Hall of Famer, and people shouldn't be doubting him." And yeah, to be expecting things from that big from someone that's that late in their career is really good for him and really good for the Blazers.
So that's our NBA playoff bracket. We pretty much had the same run. I think we did have the same run, to be honest, apart from maybe one or two series. Anything else?
Apart from the Celtics Raptors, I think we did have all the same ones.
Anything else to say, Xav?
Nothing from me.
So we should get back on track with the AFL series. It's been a bit hard, clumps of games together. It's been great to watch. We saw Jack Nunes last night, Xav. I was on the edge of my feet.
I was very happy. I thought it was over after I didn't think the deliberate was going to get called, and then didn't think the downfield was going to get called. But watching it back, I think both of them were there, and I'm glad the umpires picked up on it and looked to be in the right hands when Jack Nunes sailed the ball through the middle. So it was good for us. The Blues had the bad end of the stick, to be honest, though.
Yeah, that's
for 3.5 quarters. The Fremantle had the better of the umpires, I think, and then just we got some crucial calls at the end that really helped us get over the line. So it is what it is, but pretty happy as a Carlton fan.
So our next video should be another NBA related or maybe even AFL related. We'll sort that out. And we're going to keep getting this content out to you guys. Leave a like, subscribe if you enjoy. And until next time.